We're here. All right, week 4. Michael, good to see you.
Good to see you.
All right, week 4 of this build. We're building out this client site in Craft CMS 5. And as we are sharing with them, we're sharing with the world of how it's going. And so, Michael, you've been leading this project. You've been kind of the main decision maker of like how this build is going. So, Cloud, our designer, designed this thing. And now it's in your hands. So I guess for anybody else who's just joining in, we go but week by week. That structures how it follows our structure of how we work internally at Foster Commerce. We have weekly sprints. So Michael, you just wrapped up a sprint. Our sprints go from Thursday to Wednesday. So you wrapped up yesterday. You had client meeting yesterday. So every week we also show the client. We don't wait to the very end to say, here's this thing. We give them weekly. We show them in progress. And get them going. So yeah, so how did this last sprint, how does last week go, and what did you share with the client? And I guess even after that, what's coming up?
Well, mostly this sprint was just finishing up some of the stuff we started in the previous sprint, which was all of the content oriented for building out pages, the page builder system that we had set up. So we had gotten through all of the different sort of like preset rows that we have. And we also built out the custom row that columns can be placed in and content can be placed within those columns. That's all done as well. So that's all up and working for the pages. Also, by getting all of these content blocks done as well, those same content blocks, along with their entry types, are going to be used for detail pages for like article posts, blog posts and project descriptions, stuff like that. So with that all done and out of the way, now it's just going and putting those sections together for the projects and the blog and stuff like that. And so, yeah, that's where we're at. We also, the client meeting we had went very well. We gave them the keys to go in and start poking around in the CMS so they can start playing and wrap their head around the concept of how to use the content builder. We like to get the clients in there as soon as possible. That way they can they learn how the authoring experience, but at the same time we can see what sort of real data they're starting to put in there, and that really helps where we can see, oh, maybe this component needs a little tweak here and tweak there, because you never know. I mean, designers always put lorem ipsum and it's exactly 3 lines of text long and stuff like that. So you catch a lot of things while they're putting in real content, which is great. So
don't tell Cloud we were talking about him.
No. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's awesome. I love it. So 4 weeks in of the build, and now the client's going to go in. That's one of my favorite things is like, we don't wait to the end, the structure that we build out, the CMS side of things, lock that in. And yeah, it's pretty cool. So that's exciting. I'm glad that's happening. I'll get some live content in there. Cool. Yeah, so what's coming up this next week? Because I hear we didn't schedule you for this. Well, it's not like I heard. I know I was part of the decision making. You were pulled off the project, Michael.
Yeah, I know. I had 2 weeks of single project development bliss, and you took it away from me. Now I'm going to be off of the project for this coming up sprint, or at least, well, if not most of it, maybe half of it, and then jumping back in later on. We have some things in integration that we're working on for another client, and I'm going to be working on that.
Yeah, but we do have another developer on our team is going to be on and connecting to a service called Open Asset, right? So we'll build out integrations, which is cool because they basically store all of their project data. So all of the stuff, like, it's an internal resource for them. But since they already input a lot of that stuff, it's going to populate into their craft site for all of their projects, and then that gets displayed pretty on the website here. So it's kind of this, they don't have to have duplicate entries. It's just automatic at that point. So we're setting up that connection.
Yeah, it's a system. I believe it's pretty popular with architectural firms, Open Asset, where it's and they spend their whole day in that. So we figured, oh, why not just use that data from there? It's basic data for things like projects, square footage, the services that were necessary, the materials and stuff like that. And so we're going to be importing that into Craft, and then letting them use Craft to augment the actual, the more rich content for each of the projects.
Awesome. Cool. Well, then why don't we do it? Because we had a discussion. So in the Craft CMS Discord server, there was a discussion about kind of the custom row, the way we're doing the page builder stuff. So a lot of craft developers kind of have their own approaches to um, content entry. We have a very opinionated approach. We would love for everyone to follow what we do. So it's we believe in our way. But anyways, a lot of people do lots of cool things in a lot of different ways. So we just thought we'd share. We had questions about how we do it and how we make some of the decisions. So now that you have it fully built out, why don't we take some time today and demo a bit, but not only just demo like what's possible, but help think through like the decisions, because there's certain things that we don't allow in our custom kind of row builder option for various reasons. So how about you pull that up, show us kind of walk us through it, and I'll ask questions if we need to, but we'll just let you do a little demo of it.
All right, let's see here.
Put you down. Let's make it bigger. There we go.
All right.
If our faces get in the way, I'll just readjust the layout.
All right, so this is just a test page that we've gone through, and we're working with our content builder field. As you can see, we have custom rows. This is what I think we're going to be discussing. We have these sort of set rows, which are layout wise, pretty much they're already thought out and they have to be this way. But the content rows, this is what we get from our designer from Cloud. This would be covering this sort of situations where you want to be able to give the content administrators the option to include rows of content and then columns within those.
I'm going to interrupt you. Are you sharing? I see your craft side still. Your craft.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, how do I do that? Okay, there we go. All right. So yeah, in Figma we get from the designer has come up with a page which is basically content blocks that are going to be used throughout the site. Sort of the styling. These, for example, are the more set ones that have a specific layout. And trying to cram this into like a 4-column, into a small column isn't going to work. So we ensure that this is sort of like a row on its own. It has all different sort of layout options for it, but it can't be dropped into what's considered more of like a custom layout, where the user will be able to put in rows of content and then columns within those rows, and put content blocks within those columns. So this is kind of the idea of what we have. So we want to give them the flexibility in this case to set the background image, background color, and the amount of columns. And as you can also see, set the background colors on columns as well. So I'm going to jump over here now to the builder.
Would you mind zooming in on the screen too, just a little bit?
Sure thing. Let me do that.
I know I'm high needs here.
Better?
Yeah, if you can go one more, I think that'd be good. It doesn't break. If it doesn't, yeah, there we go. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. So here we have the content. This would be a custom content row. In this case, we have. Well, actually, let me just build. It's probably easier to show you if I get one from the beginning here. So adding a row, custom row. Again, this custom row, we have a columns field. This is just another matrix, matrix block to add a column. We have settings for the rows. So in this case, we have the row width. We have wide, which goes to the wide width, but it's centered. We have a little more narrow one. We have full width, goes full width of the screen, and we have another one in there called offset, which is basically a certain width, but it's aligned to one side of the screen. We have a vertical padding, which is the vertical padding in the row itself. Vertical alignment, this is the alignment of the columns in the row itself. So we can set it up at the top, the middle, or at the bottom, however they want to align them. And then the background color, which you have transparent, light orange, dark orange, gray, white. These are the branding colors that we got. And an option to set gutters on it as well. So adding in a column, what we have here, this would be a 1 column. We can add multiple. I set it up to have a maximum of 4 columns in this case. And these columns themselves also have some settings on them. In this case, it's the vertical padding within the column. There's a horizontal padding as well, and a background color for the column itself. So that can be set differently. And so within our column, we have a content block. So it's just another matrix fields with entry types. And these are sort of the content blocks that we're allowing in here. So like I said, you have to sort of limit you have to think that this could be used in like a 2-column layout, a 1-column layout, 3-column layout, or 4-column layout in this case. So things that are going to have a width or need to have a certain width for them to be legible or workable or something like that, we try to keep those out of this sort of column. In this case, what we have are just like heading blocks, which is just a heading. We have a rich text block field here. These also have settings on them as well. In this case, we have the font size and the tag being used for the heading block. For settings, also have font size on the rich text block.
You move
We have
fast on that
quotes.
tag. I think I want to call out that tag thing real quick. That tag is one that like we've learned through the years of like, especially for SEO and for clients who care about SEO. Like when we, like in the past, we've also sometimes hard coded like, oh, this is always an H1 or this is always this, and like it messes up their SEO keyword strategy. And so giving them the ability of like that way style doesn't matter. Or in this case, actually, let me ask you the question. One of the things we've also had is sometimes that tag, it should be decoupled from the style. Are we doing that in this case where the tag is decoupled? Okay.
Yeah, exactly. It's set to default as H2. H1, of course, is going to be whatever the page header hero is. But yeah, they'll be able to set it here. It's decoupled. The font size is different from the tag. So you can have a small, but it's an H2, or that depends on a stylistic thing, however they want to set it up.
In some sites where we have different font styles where they maybe could choose like a serif versus a sans serif font, and they want the ability, we can put that setting in there as well, a field of like what's the font family or font style in that as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, these are sort of like the basic text ones. The nice thing with Craft 5 now is you can put icons in color code blocks, so I think that makes it a little bit easier in the editing experience as well. So we have tables, so where they can put in this using the table maker plugin, so they can put in simple tables and stuff within the column. They can also put buttons. This is just a regular, this is a hyperfield actually from Verb, where they can put as many buttons as they want into one section, however.
Yeah. Does this site, let me ask you this, does this site, do we have different button styles? So that's another thing that comes up for sometimes is like there's the primary color button or a secondary color button. So in this one, do we have the choice? Or is that something to add as well?
It's one of the things you can do with the hyper field is you can add to each one your own custom fields to it. So this one has
there. Okay.
It's hidden away. Yeah. Yep. So that shows up there. So we have like a primary and a secondary styling for each of the buttons. So they will be able to put that in there. Let's see what else. Another block. And then we have these are like more media oriented ones. So it's like an image, full image. I have this as an image grid one. This one is, they can use, this one's kind of cool actually, because you're using the image block entry type in it. Let me actually show you how that's working with live preview. This is going to look zoomed. So yeah, see, these are some of the blocks that we have in here. Also, you'll note that the text here, like for this, I have this column setting for the dark orange. If I set it to whatever the new color is, for example, the text is automatically going to be the dark color, and the buttons change accordingly as well.
So it's more like setting a theme by picking the background color. You kind of set a theme for that column.
Yeah, well, you set it in the background color. So we have here, this is set to transparent, but I can set the whole thing to dark orange, right? And then it's going to go all the way down. So if the background is set, it's going to use the reverse sort of text on it, right? So, but if I'm going into the column area and say, okay, I have this set to transparent, so it's going to have whatever the background color of the row is, but I can go in here and set this also to say, I want this to be light orange, this sort of block here. And now it goes back to the non-inverted version of these components. So that what we did here is for each of these sort of component blocks, I went in and added like a theme property to it. So there's dark and light, and I just pass that down from the row to the column to the content block. And that way they don't have to set all of these colors manually for the text whenever they change the background color of a column. Yeah. So yeah, let me go here. So yeah, this is the sort of image group here that we have. Let me see, where is it at? Oh, okay, yeah, I'm right here. So yeah, the heading, the table is here. Yep. Yeah. And this is an image grid block. And what this is using is images. We also have just a plain image one, but this is using image. We also have settings on this. So in this case, they want a grid column of 4. They can control that. They can do 4. They can do 2. I think I set it up to 5 in some cases. So yeah, this is up here in 4. We can set the aspect ratio on the images. If we set it to auto, it's going to use whatever the aspect image is of the uploaded image itself. You can see.
Mm-hmm.
And we can also set it to an aspect ratio. So it was on square before, but they could put it on a 1:1, 4:3, 16:9, or 21:9. So
That's cool. I like that.
Yeah. Does that? We can have gutter. We have gutters on this as well. They can remove or add them. And that kind of gives them this option to create like these image block things. Which
Yeah,
I thought
beautiful.
was pretty cool. And so yeah, that was the one of the things that we put in the row for them. This, I think, is the only one that has a risk of thinking about, okay, if this is going to be in a really narrow column, what we're going to do here, I think, in order to solve that, we're going to, instead of using media queries on this, we're going to use container queries. So it's going to be the number of columns that are going to display, of course, whatever they want at larger screens, but it will depend on the space that block has. So if it's in a narrow column, it's not going to show 4 wide. It's going to show 2 up, because that's where we have space for. So that's the, this is another one that we had. This was something that they really wanted. This is an architectural firm. They do a lot of refurbishing or rebuilding stuff. So they wanted to have one of these comparison image sliders. So we put this in here as well, which is, they just have to set image 1, image 2. They can set the labels on here as well, put a caption underneath they want. And this also has settings for the aspect ratio. We also gave them this option for being able to set a filter on the image itself.
Oh, that's cool.
So because they're normally going to be using it for something like that, which is, the black and white to show that it's old or something like that. And it's just taking a little bit to come in. And let's see, in form blocks. Yeah, this is a form block in here. Again, this is
we'll just go slide over. It disappeared.
Yeah.
It went away.
I don't know. I think this is something I think I might have found it in a bug in Live Preview 5 though. Actually, when you're doing, sometimes if you edit a block, it won't show again. So I'm gonna have to dive down deeper into that, see if that's the case. Because sometimes if I close this out, for example, and then I'll go and save and come back to it, it's not gonna let me save because I have that empty block row down at the bottom.
Yeah, that's fine. I get what you're saying.
Just open it one more time. And it should show. So yeah, that's a kind of a bug we'll have to work out and figure out what's happening there. So yeah, there it is. Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah. The let's see what else we got. Yeah, forms is another thing that we like to put, so they can use forms wherever they want. In this case, on this project, we're using For Me, and we just have a select option to select the form that they want to drop in there. They'll drop it in. We have a video player. This is also something, this is another media thing, just like an image. That it opens up in a player. They just have to drop in the URL for the Vimeo video that they want to show, and it'll show up in here as a video player. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And then we have our reusable content rows, which is, I don't know, did we discuss that last time or?
I mean, a little bit, yeah. We kind of walked, kind of how it's structured in one of the previous sessions. So we kind of talked through the reusable content channel that you created, and then how that can be pulled in, and yeah.
Yes, so it's reusing the same entry types that we have, but in a channel instead of within the matrix field itself, which is pretty cool. And the cool thing about it is you can go in and you can edit. They can edit this as well in line too, so they can
yeah,
go here.
And that's so if there's content that they want to use on multiple pages, they don't have to re-enter that, manually update it every place. If they update it, want to change out the image, it's just kind of have one place distributed everywhere. It's basically omni-channel within the single system.
Yeah, right? Pretty much. Yeah.
Or,
yeah.
So
yes, it's. I think the funnest part about this, because the design that we had, there were some, hints on what to do if there is a colored background, but not for everything. Yeah. So I got to be able to kind of decide what that would be. So, like for example, if I set this to the dark orange background, to the brand colored background in this. So yeah, it was coming up with all the stuff for the tables, the text, the headings, and stuff like that. The form fields as well, what they look like in a reverse format for backgrounds, colors, and stuff like that. Yeah,
it's pretty awesome. Cool. Well, I'm excited. I'm jealous. I know we use our own website, fostercommerce.com site as kind of it's a guinea pig website for a lot of
Mm-hmm.
things. But now I'm like, I'm done with the guinea pigging. Let's get this. So I'm pretty excited for our clients that are getting this. But yeah, hopefully this is helpful for anybody who's kind of watching. If you're building craft sites, kind of see how we're doing this. And um, yeah, it's always possible to kind of add this on too. So like if you're
Mm-hmm.
stuck in kind of an older content model, like it's not too hard, we've found, to like add this on top of a current build, kind of extend that current build, because you could typically reuse some of the components that are there, just kind
Mm-hmm.
of start moving them into their own templates and their own stuff, so that there's some just kind of a wall between them essentially, but you get to reuse that stuff and move it over. That way you can adjust where you need to, or based on how it's used in the new situation, right? So, but
Mm-hmm.
it's really not too complicated to kind of move
Mm-hmm.
sites into this. It's just more the content entry at that point. So if you're in a previous system, it's just getting the content into the new setup.
Mm-hmm.
But it's pretty exciting. It's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Well, next week, since you're not really doing more front end stuff, we got the back end stuff, but we'll still connect. We'll see what's
Mm-hmm.
happening. Maybe we'll look at how the open asset stuff is going. Hopefully, we'll have a good week with that, and we can kind of talk about that a little bit. But other than that, let's call it a wrap there.
Sure.
And if anybody's watching, you have questions, feel free to hit us up. You can message us either through the website, or if you're a developer and you're on the Craft Discord, you can hit us up there too. Or LinkedIn, wherever, find us, we're around. So we like to hide in under our rocks, but we'll come out if you have a question. So it's all good.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Michael, thank you.
All right. Bye.